The following thoughts and opinions regarding this album are strictly of my own personal interests. I am not a professional music reviewer. I do encourage respectful discussion and friendly banter of each episode, but I do not condone and will not tolerate bullying or belligerence of any kind.
Well, hey there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rate the Record podcast, episode 107. Thank you very much for joining me today. I am your host, Chris. As always, I am here doing the album reviews, like I always do. So if you like what you see and or hear today, just a very quick reminder of one, many, or all the things I'm about to say to help support the channel. Like, subscribe, rate, share, comment, and follow. That's right, all 6 of those things, a combination of them, or even just one of them, really, truly does help move this channel along. The support means the world to me, so I'd really appreciate it if at least one of those things were done before you finish watching this episode. That would mean the world to me, as I said before. And also you can find all those support means if you go over to ratetherecord.ca. That once again is ratetherecord.ca. All the streaming links you would need to go find, all the social media links to follow and subscribe and do all that kind of cool stuff with. You can buy RTR merch, and of course the financial option to support the show too, Ko-fi.com/ratetherecord. Join the RTR club. $5 a month gets you early access to episodes. You can request albums for the show. I'll give you a shout out on social media. I'm still figuring out things to do with the RTR club, but regardless, if that sounds interesting too, the Ko-fi link to join the RTR club is found at ratetherecord.ca, just like everything else I just listed. Okay. Flying through the formalities, because I have to do that every week just to make sure people know what's going on. But if you've been here before, you already know that I do that, and you already know what goes on here on the show. So you know what? Thank you very much for coming back. I really appreciate you. I always appreciate having those returning people to talk about music with and everything like that, and just enjoying the content in general. But if you are new here, well, then I will say, hello, welcome to the podcast. I hope that you enjoy your stay, have some fun, discuss some music with me. I'm always down to chat about it, hence why I do this in the first place. And chances are you don't know what I do here on the podcast, so each week I will choose an album completely at random. Maybe it's celebrating an anniversary, a request as previously mentioned. There's a multitude of other reasons why an album can be chosen as well, but it doesn't really matter why. Regardless, I will choose an album each and every single week. I will listen to it front to back in small chunks, so that way you can follow along with me too. And then at the end of it all, I will rank the songs and then rate the record. Exactly. Title of the podcast. That's what I do. That's what needs to be done. Wow, I'm getting faster at these formalities. I'm very happy about that. So today for episode 107, boy, this is an album I've been thinking about for a long time, and I don't think I've ever actually fully sat through this album until I had to review it. So it was nice to finally be able to do this, get it off my list, all that kind of stuff. And today, of course, I'm looking at Blink-182 and their 1999 album, Enema of the State. And to say that this was a massive album of the 90s, or even early 2000s if you want to bleed over into that, would be an entire understatement. This album was massive when it came out, so let me tell you a little more about it. Enema of the State is the third full-length studio album by pop-punk trio Blink-182. The album was released June 1st, 1999, and was recorded at a number of studios across California, including Signature Sound, Studio West, Mad Hatter, The Bomb Factory, Conway Recording, and Big Fish. The album was released through MCA Records and was produced by Jerry Finn, whose portfolio includes bands such as Green Day, Goo Goo Dolls, Rancid, and many more. The band consists of its current, as of this recording, and most well-known lineup, Mark Hoppus on bass and vocals, Tom DeLonge on guitar and vocals, and Travis Barker on drums. This would be Barker's first project with the band following the departure of former drummer Scott Rayner. The album was a massive success and is still considered among one of the greatest pop-punk albums of all time. Billboard gave the album 4.5 out of 5 stars. AllMusic and the Rolling Stone Album Guide gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The Village Voice gave it an A-, and E! Online gave it a B. Rock Sound magazine had the album at number 1 on their 51 most essential pop-punk albums of all time list, and Kerrang! Had it at number 1 on their 51 greatest pop-punk albums ever list. The album charted in many countries and found the top 10 in 7 of them. That includes number 1 in the UK, number 2 in New Zealand, number 4 in Australia, number 5 in Italy, and more. The album has been certified 16 times platinum in 6 countries, 5 in the US, 4 in Canada, 3 in Australia, 2 in New Zealand, and 1 each in the UK and Italy. The album spawned 3 singles: What's My Age Again, All the Small Things, and Adam's Song. And now that you know a little bit more about the album, I guess we can just jump right into it, because for the video viewers of this podcast, next to me on the screen right here is the Spotify listing for this album, so that way you can follow along with me. So remember, I'm going to be listening in just few second chunks. You'll hear each song. Don't want to get my ass kicked by copyright, but by all means, if you want to follow along, feel free to just pause the video so you can listen to the song, have your opinion about it too. Let me know what you think of it at the entire end of the video. Just makes it easy on everyone, right? So we'll just jump into it. I don't want to ramble too much, so let's get started with song number 1, that being Dumpweed. Alright, so song number 1, starting off the album with Dumpweed, and I mean, that's a fun start to the album, as it should be, especially in this style, from this band. If it was any other way, I'd be very confused. Granted, I haven't heard like future projects beyond Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, so I wouldn't know what to expect down the road, but considering this is like the most popular album of all time, of course it has to be fun. And it actually kind of feels like the opening to one of those like late 90s, early 2000s teen movies. Obviously very fitting, considering I'm pretty sure their songs have been in multiple soundtracks, including one coming up later that was in American Pie. I'll probably mention that as it comes up too, so yeah, I mean, it's just very fitting of its time. I like the little guitar runs that happen between like verses and choruses and everything like that. I think that's a nice little touch to have. It's really fun. And I think fun and energetic are 2 words that you'll hear come up a lot during this entire review. Out of these 12 songs, and they're mostly short songs, so it'll be hard to say like many new things about each one. So let's see how well I do, especially if I could speak properly, with song number 2, Don't Leave Me. Just a very long, drawn-out outro there, so that's fine. I guess I can just kind of pause it. That was actually a very long, drawn outro to song number 2, Don't Leave Me. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of a mirror to the previous track too, like that same kind of like energy, intensity, and just composition all around. And they're both 2 minutes and 23 seconds, so very mirroring of each other, but obviously it's a very Mark and bass-driven track over the previous, which was Tom and guitar-driven. It's still very energetic and bouncy and everything like that. I don't feel like it's as lively as the first track was. Not that this one wasn't, but just if you want to compare the two, I think the first one did a better job of it. And yeah, being very short definitely is a benefit to these songs as well. I know that there is a 4-minute track coming up on the album a little later, but I can't imagine anything going too long on this album, especially like if these first 2 songs are a taste of it. Can you imagine like every song being like 4 to 5 minutes? No, these 2.5 to 3 minute songs are perfect for this. It's just very punchy, straightforward, gets the message in, no bullshit. So I appreciate it. Very smart and just still having fun. Still got a ways to go. So let's go to song number 3, Aliens Exist. Alrighty then, song number 3, as it kind of keeps building up there to go into the next one. Song number 3, Aliens Exist. God, the funny part about this one, to anyone who's been following the Blink-182 lore for decades, who would have thought this song was more or less based on a true story? Not that he was abducted or anything, but obviously Tom DeLonge, you know, was really super into aliens, and he still is. And left the band to pursue like studying it more and everything like that. And now that he's on tour with the band again, they play the song live, and he just starts off every song by saying like, "I told you, motherfuckers," because of everything that's like obviously come out in the last year or two or three about like, you know, alien discoveries and UFOs or UFAs or whatever the hell. I don't even know the wording for it anymore, but you know what I mean, regardless. So I just think that's pretty funny how he wrote this all the way back in 99 and he's still going strong with it. So hey, you know what? Kudos, Tom. It's not just a passing hobby. You dedicated time to this and you're still into it, and now you get to rub it in everyone's face. So that's pretty awesome, I guess. As for the song though, again, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, like, it's what the style is known for, but with that said, I still think there's plenty to enjoy with this. Still very much fun. As I said, that word will come up a lot. It's hard to know what to say about these types of songs because a lot of them sound and feel kind of similar, but the important thing is that I'm not bored of it yet or anything like that. So, hey, good on it. Still having fun. Still a great time. And also, I could have said this earlier, too. I probably should have said this as one of those blanket statements for the album. But the chemistry between these three is absolutely fantastic, and it can be heard across multiple projects, obviously. But I just mean, like, the composition, the playing, the performance, everything is super tight and polished. And then shout out to the production, which is also just fantastic and just massive style just for these three guys. So, I mean, this is a good album on a production front and just from, like, a songwriting front as well. So I can say that straightforward. And now I have to tell you what I think about the rest of the song, so I can tell you what I think about the album overall. So I guess that means we have to move on to song number 4, Going Away to College. And just before it bleeds into the next song, because that's what it indeed does, song number 4, Going Away to College. It's getting hard to know what to say about these songs because, again, a lot of them sound very similar, but it's more simple, punchy energy. What more can you ask for? I mean, it's still decent in what it's doing. I will say, though, it's funny how we get this mix of, like, mature and immature, like, content all throughout the album, like, lyrically at the very least. And then you get these almost, like, coming-of-age style of songs, which is obviously this one. Because I believe I remember reading that Mark Hoppus wrote this. He was on tour and he just finished watching one of those 90s movies like 10 Things I Hate About You or something. She's All That. And just kind of like wrote it while thinking about the movie or something along the lines of that. So yeah, very easy to kind of pen one of these things, I suppose. Well, talking about mature or immature, we can go on to the next song, and I mean, 735 million streams here, nearly 736 million on Spotify. Can't be wrong. Must be popular. What's My Age Again? Okay, song number 5. Obviously one of the bigger hits that people likely still remember to this day. What's My Age Again? I mean, obviously, super popular track. Obviously, there's one more popular track on here that people are bound to recognize. But I mean, immediately, I will say, as I kind of mentioned at the end of the last song, the continuity from the last track to this one works really well. It's just a great bleed over, and it doesn't necessarily feel like the same track either. It still feels like a whole new track. So very good, very smart production there. I do like those kinds of things. I always recognize them. So good job on that. And I mean, obviously the song super catchy, fantastic, funny and juvenile lyrics. Like even me now in my mid 30s, I mean, you still get a bit of a chuckle at me with the lyrics, whatever. They're super juvenile, but who the hell cares? Have a good time. That's where the charm lies in all of this, like this album, this style, everything. But I mean, granted, I know a lot of people, apparently when this album dropped, had its fair share of critics saying that the album was too immature. So there is that, but I mean, look how well this album has technically aged and how popular it was and still technically is. So can you really say that they lost? No, I doubt it. And also, I will say too, considering that I remember when this song like debuted on the charts and everything like that, like back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and especially with the music video where they're running around naked and shit, this is way shorter than I remember it. like, I don't know, it's because I'm a kid and I think everything feels a lot longer. I have no idea. But also, I shouldn't be shocked considering looking at the track list here and just how short all of the songs are. So I shouldn't really be all that shocked by this. But yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I always thought it was like a 3.5 minute track, basic radio thing. But no, here we are at 2 minutes and 28 seconds. Makes it easier to review this album just to storm through these songs like this. And speaking of which, let's storm to the end of the A side on this one with number 6, Dysentery Gary. Hell of a name. All right, song number 6, Dysentery Gary. What a name. And obviously, if you're as old as I am, you know, a little older, maybe a little younger, dysentery really brings back some memories, huh? Now, I'm not talking about staying at home and shitting blood. I'm talking about playing Oregon Trail. But regardless, let's talk a little bit about the song, I guess. I mean, going along with the juvenile themes that I mentioned before, I mean, this one definitely has it, that nice guy finished last, like, theme to the lyrics and losing out to the bigger jock kind of dude and everything like that. I mean, these are things I could have obviously found relatable like 20 to 25 years ago. And I mean, I guess for like clarity's sake, I'm 35 at the point of this video coming out. So imagine 20, 25 years ago, I was like just around the age of puberty, getting crushes on girls and everything. And those girls I had crushes on were going for the dudes I didn't like and who probably bullied me at some point. So yeah, if I heard this song around those times, I would have been like, yeah, he is a diarrhea giver, isn't he? that would have been young me, and it would have been the most fitting thing in the entire world. But I digressed. This song still has like a lot of good life to it and everything like that. It has a bit of come downs in it too. A lot more pauses and quieter moments all across the track, and I think that really helps with the flow overall. But something about it feels a little bit lacking. Maybe it's just there's too many pauses to the point where it feels kind of incomplete. It always feels like just like a build up to another part, but it's just like constantly going through. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but just something about it felt lacking. Not a bad song though. I still enjoyed it for the most part, I guess. It's not the greatest song, but it's not terrible. But I guess that's all I have to say about it, because again, a lot of these songs are short, except for the next one being the longest song on the album, and that's saying a lot considering it's only 4 minutes and 9 seconds. Here on Rate the Record, 4 minutes and 9 seconds is child's play, but for Blink-182, it's obviously an epic. So let's listen to song number 7, Adam's Song. Song number 6, wrapping up right there, because it again kind of bleeds into the next track. Adam's Song, and obviously quite the 180 with subject matter here, considering the last song was about being mad at a guy for being with the girl that you wanted to be with. This one being completely different. I mean, a note of sorts, quote unquote, for the audio listeners, because I don't know, can I even say that word on like YouTube or any podcast, the S word, the unalive word, whatever. Regardless, this song is like more or less a note in that way, as far as I'm concerned. It has like a more happy, or at least a slightly more hopeful or optimistic ending to it. So there is that at the very least. And I know that I read about the song, Mark wrote it based on his own depression while he was on tour, and just that, like, you know, when the tour was over, you know, Tom and Travis had girlfriends to go home to, but then when he would go home, there was no one there. He was alone, so he felt lonely on tour. Just to finish the tour, go home and be alone again. So just obviously, this song is kind of like encapsulating of that too. And I also read that the song, like the title "Adam's Song," might be a play on a particular skit from the show Mr. Show, where I can't remember the gist of it, but there was a band on there performing a song called "Try Again," parentheses, Adam's Song, and it was encouraging the person to try again. Need I say more? Very dark sketch, but that show is overall hilarious, though. That has nothing to do with the song, though. It has everything to do with that, and this is this, though. I will say that even though the instrumentals are like generally quieter and like tamer versions of what we've been getting in the other songs, I think it actually sounds really nicely done here. Obviously, the choruses are very different because they're far heavier and just far more expansive than what we get in the verses. And also the addition of the piano was really nice too. So that was a nice like little touch and texture to be adding just in the final bridge of the song there. And you know what? I will say, listening back to this song now, like again, not only from when I was younger, but for like the millionth time now, I think this has got to be one of my favorite Blink-182 choruses. I get that it's not the most like uppy, energetic. It is a catchy chorus, but not the catchiest they've ever done. But there's just something about the way it's performed that just feels so good. It is catchy. It is memorable, easy to sing. The instrumentals, I think it's because the instrumentals pick up to be something far like louder and more grand. Just because, again, in the verses, you get those quieter instrumentals. And then suddenly the distortion kicks in. Everything expands. I think that gives it a lot of good quality. And so it's always great to listen to. And then having to listen back to this album a few times to do this review, I'm finally starting to realize that it's like, wow, this course is like way better than I ever gave it credit for. Not that I ever disliked it, I just don't think I ever liked it as much as I do now. So that's cool, that's great, and obviously you can see why it's a single. And speaking of singles, of course, 1.1 billion streams on Spotify cannot be wrong for song number 8, All the Small Things.
Surprises let me know she cares.
Hey, there you go. Song number 8, All the Small Things. What can you possibly say about this? I'll start off with an obvious point, though. The thematic jump between the previous track and this one, though. I mean, there's no good way to do that. It's huge whiplash, but I think it's kind of funny at the same time. I don't know. You got to try to lighten the mood back up, so what can you do besides writing a song about poop? You can just write a song like this, I guess. I don't know. But I'm also thinking about the video a lot, too, making it more immature. I don't think the song is necessarily immature when it comes to the lyrics, but then I think back to the music video, the very iconic music video, where they rip off like every boy band of the time, so that's just another thing that made this song super huge. And obviously this is arguably the catchiest song on the entire album. Super easy lyrics to memorize and sing along to and everything like that. And of course the na-na and na-na section, always fun to sing along to. And apparently that's a nod to the Ramones because Tom DeLonge just really likes the Ramones and wanted to include that. So, hey, that's cool too. There's nothing wrong with the Ramones. This song is just pop writing done to a T, like perfectly. Like everything about this song is just the perfect pop experiment. Like this is how it's supposed to be done. And yeah, I don't even know what else more to say. Like I'm not blind. I can see why kids love the taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Like I can see why this is a single. There's over 1 billion streams on Spotify here. I'm sure the YouTube music video has even more than that, or somewhere in the 100 millions at the very least for the video. It's a legacy song at this point. If they didn't play this at concerts, I'm sure fans would riot. So yeah, I see why this is a very popular song. Anyone can, even if you don't like Blink-182, the song is special. That's just how it runs. So we're coming near the end now. We got 4 more tracks left. Let's do this with song number 9, The Party Song.
Do you want to come to a party? My friend's beginning there with green eyes and long blonde hair. She wasn't wearing things they suggested. I couldn't believe what this lady was saying. This girl's not the one, and she'll never be fun.
Song number 9, The Party Song. Some girls try too hard with those things on their chest and the things they suggest. Yeah, those are the teenage lyrics really popping through on those ones, huh? Jesus. I mean, not saying there aren't certain groups of adult men out there who don't think that, and that's extremely unfortunate that they haven't grown that far up yet. But I digress, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to complain about the lyrics. I'm not sitting here bitching about those or anything like that. I'm talking about the song. This one, it's fast and crazy, like even more so than the other tracks. I think a lot of it has to do with the shuffle delivery of Mark's vocals on top of most of the song. And it's like going in line with those almost syncopated instrumentals, especially with the drums and everything like that. Like, and just the pacing and the speed of everything. It just, God, when you're first listening to this song, it kind of catches you off guard because it feels like there's so many different things going on, so many different places. So you have to kind of re-listen to it and keep up a little bit. But I like that. I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. It's very quick and to the point. If I'm not mistaken, the shortest song on the album, just by a bit though, 2 minutes and 18 seconds. So it's not that much. But yeah, very quick and to the point. Somehow there's simultaneously a lot and not enough going on in this song. There's a lot to take in, but not enough to take in. I'm not certain how else to describe that. It's just the first thing I thought of when I first heard the song and put it on for this review. I mean, even prior to this, because obviously I listened to these albums like a few times at the very least before doing these reviews. Even now, for like my third or fourth listen through, same thing. Like there's a lot going on, but yet it feels so short, and it feels like it left out like chunks of the song that were supposed to be there. But I don't know. Regardless, not a bad song. Didn't dislike it. Very fun, very fast. So I guess we move on now to song number 10, Mutt.
And I know he's only looking to see. He took the seat off his own bike because the way that it.
All right, so song number 10, Mutt. We're getting very close to the end of the album now. For this one, though, I like a lot of the guitar work in this song. I mean, not that I didn't like guitar work in the other songs, but there's things that stood out to me in this one, like a lot of the fills that were going on in various parts of the song. And there was even certain parts where the melodic and rhythmic, not rhythmic, regardless, melodic and rhythmic parts were layered on top of each other. That was really nice. It added a really good dosage of texture. Oh my God, I can't speak. Regardless, to the song, sounded cool. I liked it. And I did mention earlier about like Blink-182 being associated with like American teen movies from like the 90s and 2000s. This was definitely an American Pie 1. I'm like 98% certain this song was in American Pie 1. And obviously that's a movie series with a million memorable scenes and moments. I'm sure the vast majority of them have not aged that well in today's culture and society. But I mean, again, it was what it was back in the 90s and early 2000s. And I think Blink-182 even cameoed in that movie too. If I remember correctly, it's the scene where they set up a webcam to spy on a girl. And then they tell Jim, the main character by Jason Biggs, it's like, oh, go back and go hook up with her and blah, blah, blah. You'll be on webcam. You'll be famous. And so he runs back to his house, and as he's running back to his house to do it, yeah, Blink-182 appears in the scene and everything like that. Sounds kind of cringy to this day, huh? Yeah, welcome to 2024. The world's a whole different place. So I guess we'll just move on to song number 11 because I have nothing more to say about Mutt. It's a decent track overall, I will say that much. Song number 11, Wendy Clear. And as it rings out, song number 11, Wendy Clear. Just like these fast songs, it's getting hard to keep up with and everything like that. That's okay. We're almost at the end of the album anyways. But yeah, song number 11, Wendy Clear. I think how this song is almost just constantly running on those hard-driven guitar and bass lines really makes this one a lot of fun to get through. Not that it's the only song to do it, but there's something about this one that just stands out a little more to me. So I don't know. I really enjoyed that, especially getting to the verses, and it just felt like a constant surge of energy. Like there was rarely like one of those moments where it went quiet with just one instrument or anything like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. One thing I will say about this song too is like lyrically, I originally heard this song was supposed to be about liking somebody that you're not supposed to. And like when I first heard that, my eyebrows raised nearly off of my head, just thinking to myself, like, what the hell does that mean, Mark? Because obviously Mark wrote the lyrics for the song, but liking someone you're not supposed to like that better be an innocent thing. And it more or less was an innocent thing too, because apparently he had a crush on somebody at the label that they worked at. So it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. The higher up, you're not allowed to do that kind of thing, blah, 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 whatever. But I mean, like, there are certain directions that statement could have went that would have freaked me out. And because of, like, certain bands and artists with certain allegations, even to this day, I'd be like, please tell me Blink's not one of them. Please tell me Blink's not one of them. And as far as I can tell, no, it's about an adult woman, so that's fine. That's fine. So I can move on from that awkwardness at the very least. Overall with the song, as fun as I had with like a lot of different parts in this song, ultimately it felt kind of uneventful. It's not necessarily a bad song, but it just felt like, again, it was missing something in it. Maybe this one could have benefited from being a little longer. Granted, it's nearly 3 minutes, but there was just, I don't know, something lacking from the overall product that kept it from being nearly perfect. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but we'll see where that ranks a little later on, because now we have to move on to song number 12, Anthem. Nice little fake beat ending there with that last word, bomb. Song number 12, Anthem. That's it. That's the last song on this entire album. And I think it's a nice track to close out the entire album, too. I mean, I do have a kind of a criticism about, like, this being the ending, but overall, I think it is a good final track to kind of encapsulate everything that we've gone through so far. Or, I mean, by now, at the end of this album, I should say. This has a grander feeling to it for the most part, I think, as compared to other tracks too. Just there's something about it that feels a little bigger, and maybe that's the whole feeling of finality that I'm kind of getting from it. And it's fitting considering the title too, the title being Anthem, so it better be a damn big song, so I'm glad it kind of felt that way. And speaking of that title too, Anthem, I mean, talk about those lyrics once again, eh? The juvenile idea of like, screw you, mom and dad, I'm a teenager, like, those kinds of feelings, you know, whatever. Again, I think we've all been there at least some point in our lives, especially those angsty goddamn millennials, those pieces of shit. Point itself. Yeah, that's me, isn't it? But anyways, considering that their audience, the majority of their audience were teenagers by the time this thing came out, like, it's fitting to have songs like this. So that way it's like super easily relatable. And then at the very least, that fan base can grow up still liking the band, go to the shows in their 30s, and then be drawn right back to that moment in time. Even though, I mean, it's never particularly an awesome thing to be drawn back to when you were a teenager, unless you had a particularly awesome teenage life. Other than that, it was a lot of time of weirdness and discovery and changes and all that kind of stuff and learning. I wouldn't want to go back to being a teenager. I'm fine with where I am now, but it's still fun to listen to music like this regardless. I don't care. But yeah, it feels like this could have been anywhere on the track list, more or less. I would have hoped for a bigger, more drawn-out ending to really help cap it off, and I think that's my biggest criticism of why I don't like this being the ender. But as I said, overall, though, I do like this being the ender. It was a very small criticism, probably means nothing, and that's fine. And with that said, we are now at the end of Blink-182's Enema of the State. Let me slide my headphones down. I realized for the last bunch of episodes, I usually keep them on. I definitely don't need to do that. But yes, we're at the end of the album now. So overall, you know, you can clearly hear why this was called one of the biggest and best pop punk albums of all time. A lot of energy all over this thing. Super catchy tracks all over the place. It's short. It's punchy. At the time it came out, it was super relatable to a lot of people who were enjoying this album. It's just a fun, well-crafted project that like really captured the teen angst and stupidity of that time frame really well. So you know what? It does numbers, and it did numbers, and it's still doing numbers. This is a very fun album. I did indeed enjoy it. But now what I'll do is disappear Spotify off the screen, whoosh, with absolutely no good transition, just block off, disappeared there. But now there are numbers on the screen, and there's about to be names, song names to be specific with those numbers, because now I have to rank the songs from 12 to 1. A lot of the albums that we've done this year so far on Rate the Record have been 10 through 1, but no, this one's going to be 12 through 1. That's fine. Worst to best, not so great to great, least favorite to favorite. However you want to cut that cake, that's how we're going to cut it. Right now, I'm going to do mine, and I want to hear yours as well. So make sure, once again, you're letting me know down in the comments. I'm going to fire through these really quick so that way you can get my idea, and then you can tell me more about what you think about it. So let's do it now. Song number 12, Dysentery Gary. Song number 11, The Party Song. Song number 10, Wendy Clear. Number 9, Going Away to College. 8, Don't Leave Me. 7, Aliens Exist. 6, Mutt. 5, Anthem. 4, Dumpweed. 3, Adam's Song. 2, What's My Age Again? And number 1, All the Small Things. Surprise, the singles made it to the top. Maybe it's nostalgia playing a bit of a bias with me, but those are just incredibly good, fun songs. What can I say? Part of me wishes I ranked Adam's Song a little higher now that I have a more fond appreciation of the chorus, but whatever. It's cemented. It's there. Everything is here. That's the way it's going to be. The singles are at the top. Still a very fun album overall, but how fun exactly? Get out of here, you stupid song rankings. It's time for the album rating. That's right, it's time to rate the record. There you go. That's exactly what we have to do. The title track of this whole podcast. What did I think about it? Well, I liked it. I didn't know where it was going to end up. Part of me thought it was going to end up being another A-tier album, and so far with season 6, A-tier albums have been prevalent. I'm simultaneously disappointed and elated to tell you that we finally have our first B-tier album of season 6. It took until episode 107, but we're here now. I ranked this album 76.15, which means it is a dead in the middle B-tier album. No negative, no plus. It is just B-tier, straightforward. Oh man, I didn't know when the B tier was coming. I was losing hope that I would probably have to change the actual slogan of the podcast now, your new favorite B tier podcast. I wouldn't be able to do that anymore if we didn't get more B tiers. Well, here we are. Enema of the State ended up being a B tier album. Sweat off brow. There you go. I can kind of keep up with that whole shtick now. But other than that, we are at the end of this episode now, so thank you very much for hanging out with me and listening to this album along with me. And if you did indeed listen to the album with me, please let me know down in the comments below of wherever you're listening, audio, video, it don't matter. The comment section's everywhere. Let me know what you thought about this album. Do you agree or disagree with me? How would you rank the songs? How would you rate the record? Do you like Blink-182? Do you like this album? What is your review overall of it? I'd be very curious to hear all of that. So once again, down in the comments, let me know. And there's other places you can let me know, like social media and Ko-fi and everything like that. All of those can be found at ratetherecord.ca. One more time, that is ratetherecord.ca. Streaming links, social media links, merch, and of course the RTR Club. As mentioned, it's all over there, ratetherecord.ca. Make sure that you're checking that out and just following along on the social medias and all that kind of stuff and letting me know your opinions in all of those places, because that's kind of what this whole podcast is about. Music commentary. I'm not the only one doing the commentating. You can do it too. I'm inviting you to do it. Go ahead and do it. Boom. There we go. That's in the episode. I already said thank you, but I will thank you one more time for joining me. Come back again next week for episode 108. I'm not going to lie. I haven't looked at my notes. I can't remember which one's next week. I've been doing a lot of recording out of order for these episodes, so I've lost track of which one is coming next week. But whatever one is there was supposed to be there in the first place. So I hope you come back and enjoy that one. Make sure you go watch the other 6 episodes if you haven't yet, just to kind of catch up on season 6. But until I see you next week, go listen to some awesome music, and I'll see you again real soon. Take care, friends.